Hi guys, final game of 2021. Ajax against Fortuna Sittard, Eredivisie game, 5-0. We needed that big win to finish off in style, to be happy, to go into the winter break with a good feeling. Do you have that good feeling, Sam, after tonight's game?
Yeah, I do. I thought we were a little bit slow and sluggish at times in this game, but I think in years gone by, Ajax always start the season quite slow and always kind of get better when the new year hits. So I think if we can win games like this quite comfortably, then hopefully it brings a lot of confidence going into next year.
Absolutely. So talking about the game specifically today, any things you want to highlight? Yeah,
I mean, Anthony was class again. I'm not too surprised by that. I don't think anyone is. I think in a game where we were at times quite slow, I don't know if we got a little bit too complacent at times because I didn't think Tadic was at his best today, and he's usually the one that sparks a lot of the creativity and really influences the games. But I thought Anthony was the key man today. I was really impressed by Devin Wrench. Obviously, he scored as well, so that always makes it easier. But I thought he was really good today. We missed a few players, Mazraoui being a key one, but I thought Wrench coming in as a replacement was excellent for him. I would have liked to see Ten Hag play a few of these sort of rotation players today in a game that I think we all were sort of hoping that we'd win. So Kenneth Taylor, David Neres, basically the guys that came off the bench. I would have liked them to either play or come on earlier or start the game. Durami as well. I think he's got a lot of criticism and people saying he's not ready yet. But I think it's hard to say that he's not ready when he doesn't get much time. So these are just a few things that I've picked up from the game. But yeah, hopefully in the new year we'll start to see a bit more of these players.
I'll touch upon that in a bit. I just want to highlight also the players, like you said. You touched upon the Wrench, of course. And you also talked about Tadic. I have a little bit of a different opinion about that. I thought Tadic started really well, but he was actually overtook by the right side after a while. The right side became better because I thought in the beginning of the game, the left side was very strong, especially with Blind as well from the left back position. But you didn't think Tadic was good throughout the game, basically.
I thought he started well. I agree, and I think the first 10 minutes we were quite poor, and we needed a lucky goal. The build-up was really good for the goal. When I say it was lucky, I mean the fact that the keeper saved it, it fell straight back to Blind, and he just put it in. And there were moments throughout the game that I thought he was good. I just think it was probably one of his quieter games, just because I assume because of the games that we've had recently coming thick and fast, it's probably taken its toll for a player like Tadic. And yeah, I'd agree that the right side were probably better as the game went on. Yeah. But Tadic had his moments in the game.
Yeah. Do you feel a little bit, do you regret the fact that he did break Messi's record in terms of the assist, going all over Twitter? This was his last chance to do 2 assists, break his record. Did he have a chance to give an assist today? He had, right? A couple.
Well, I didn't know. He should have got the one with Blind. I thought he was going to get it. But no, ultimately, I don't think he had too many chances other than that one. If he got that, then he would have leveled it, right?
Yeah, if he had one assist, he would level with Messi, 36.
Yeah.
In the calendar year, and one more, so 2, and then he would have the sole record. But tough luck. Maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Ten Hag would maybe kept him on for that, but no, I think as the way the game was going, I think a lot more chances were coming down that right-hand side. He had his chance when Blind scored, but obviously he couldn't score the first goal, so it doesn't matter now.
Yeah. How about the substitutes, the ones that came in or started the game, like Schuurs and Klaassen? What do you think of their performance today?
It's hard to say about Schuurs because ultimately he didn't really have much to do. Let's be honest.
What do you think? What do you think of the second half? There was a transition moment, and he was basically there were 2 against 1, and if he didn't intervene in that one, I don't know if you saw that one. So he basically defended that. That was a very important challenge. Yeah,
and I think he did well in that. And don't get me wrong, there's moments that he did well, and I think that can be said for the back 4. I remember Wrench had a few good moments in defence as well, and the same can be said for Schuurs as well. It's just that it's hard to say that a player did well or bad in defence when they have to do very little. The things that he had to do, I think he dealt with very well. So looking at it that way, I think he did well against his old side.
Let me ask you the question a little bit differently then. Do you feel Schuurs, compared to last year, has progressed, has developed as a player?
Yeah, I think he needed a bit of time, if I'm honest, because all those comparisons with De Ligt, everyone was expecting him 2 years ago really to be the sort of main centre back, and it hasn't happened that way. And I think he's probably benefited from the fact that he has dropped to the bench. Obviously, Timber and Martinez have taken the sort of starting spots there. And I think it's given him a bit of a kick up the backside to sort of realise that actually needs to push on. He needs to start improving in certain areas. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah. I want to move to one critical player that we have to talk about. He scored at the end 2 goals, but both you and Papimento were very harsh. You guys gave him a 4, I believe.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Why you guys are hating on Haller so much? What's going on, Sam?
The thing is, he does so little throughout a game. It's infuriating to watch him because his build-up play today was awful. I think when he had chances throughout the game, it was awful. I mean, he took his second goal phenomenally, and that's the mind-blowing thing about Haller, is that he can play a really terrible game and then he'll come up with 2 goals, and you look back on the game and you think, how on earth has he done that? Because he's so bad. And that's the thing with how well he's done in the Champions League. It's the exact same thing as that, against teams like Sporting, is that he doesn't play well, but then he scores all these goals and he gets in the right place at the right moments and he scores crucial goals. He's a player that we need, but he's a player that I don't like because he's so infuriating. It's a real love-hate situation with Haller at the moment.
But you do understand how important he is for the team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if we I mean, I saw that Dortmund were interested in today, and it would be awful if he left, because the goals that he brings, it's something that we've missed for a long time. Absolutely. And my God, he's important to our team, but he is infuriating. It's really frustrating to watch, and he can have bad games, even if he does score 2 goals.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Look, wrapping everything up, right? First half of the season in general, the Champions League run, the Eredivisie games. So we had 1 cup game in the KNVB Beker. What else? I mean, in general, are you satisfied? Are you happy with how we progressed this season? And second of all, I want to touch upon the slight critic that you have, and something that's been recurring, and a lot of people also on Twitter talking about this. Do you feel like one of the few bad things, or not bad things, but one of the few critical points basically is that there's not a lot of squad rotation going on?
Yeah, I think the thing is with the squad is that we have a very deep squad this year, which for me makes a change. And when you look at it, you think, wow, that's a really strong squad. And I think recently we've start to see that players are either not ready for the first team, or they're not as good as maybe what they used to be. And I think that's probably the case, especially for David Neres. So I think it's a difficult one, because we think so highly of the squad. And for me, I really love the squad, and I don't really see how we can improve it. But at the same time, there's a massive gulf in quality between the starting 11 and then the players that we'd expect to come off the bench. But then looking at the season so far, I'm relatively happy for it. But then again, if I was a Feyenoord or PSV fan, I wouldn't be too disappointed off it, really, because Ajax, as of recent, are a much bigger club with how things have gone. And there's not a massive difference between the teams at the moment. Okay, we beat Feyenoord at the weekend, but there's not a massive gulf in quality there. And I think there is a fear that they could come back into the Eredivisie title next year, despite how good I think our squad is. Why
do you think that? Because of the lack of rotation?
Yeah, I think it's hurting us. In these games, we look slow. We look, we just lack the clinical nature that that makes us so good. So I think it is a problem, and if it's not sorted out, it could be a problem next year. But as I said at the start, I think Ajax get better as the season goes on. I've always felt that.
So basically, Sam, if I translate it loosely, forgive me, just trying to understand, you're saying basically that Ten Hag is squeezing a lot out of the first 11 players.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say this is the first year for me supporting Ajax, and I've supported Ajax for 10 years now, that I think I could probably consistently name the starting 11 every week. Okay, we saw a couple of changes today, but it's very rare this year that we see changes made because Ten Hag obviously feels so strongly about that starting 11. And I think, every team, the reason why we have a strong team is because we need those players off the bench to have an impact, especially in games like today. But, with Ten Hag at the moment, we're not really seeing that yet.
Do you know why, maybe? Do you know why he does that like that?
Well, I don't know if this is a criticism of Ten Hag, but for me, I think, the way he has Ajax playing is very good, but he doesn't have a plan B for me. It's very much so reliant on your Tadic, your Antonys, your Hallers, but when everything goes wrong, say those players get injured or suspended, then you have to, I feel like he's then forced to rely on, your Duramis, Neres, etc. And I feel like Ten Hag doesn't have that versatility that maybe he should do to be able to, have a plan if things go wrong in that sense.
Okay. Coming back to my initial question, so apart from the squad rotation, in general, so far, looking at the league run, Champions League run, happy with that?
Yeah, I think you've got to be. I mean, the way we, performed in the Champions League, it's mind-blowing how we managed to do so well. The Eredivisie, yeah, we lost to Utrecht and AZ Alkmaar, but ultimately you have to be happy with that, with the season so far. We're just hoping that really we can build on from this next year. I think it's a great starting point, but after the sort of Christmas and New Year break, that's when we've got to push on, and that's when we've got to start getting better and better, in my opinion.
We know Africa Cup is coming. Haller might be going. We know Onana will be going. So a couple of players that will be leaving. But I want to ask you, you heard, of course, that we'll be signing Brobbey. Just a quick take from your side on this one. Where do you stand?
The Brobbey deal, the only reason I think that we're going into this is with the intention that we'll try and sign him permanently at the end of the year. I can't see us signing a player that we let go for free, in the summer. I can't imagine that we'd bring him on loan if we didn't have the idea of trying to bring him back permanently at the end of the year.
Can it be a possibility? Can it be a possibility that Overmars and the staff are thinking, you know what, for this one, we're only thinking the sportive way. We're not looking at the business side of it because we want to compete in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think there's obviously some logic to that, and obviously with Haller going to the African Cup of Nations, most probably, it will help us with that. But I don't think, for me, Brobbey is, the player that I want to be relying on. As we saw last year, he was great coming off the bench, and he had a lot of important moments for us last year. But I don't know if he's quite ready to be the guy that we rely on. For me, I'd probably then prefer to bring sort of Tadic back into the middle, or even start Danilo Pereira. They're my options, sort of based on what we've seen this year. But time will only tell whether Brobbey comes in and whether he is the guy that we rely on. Obviously, if he scores goals, then I can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, just to wrap up, this is the final video of the year. So I want to thank you, all the guests that has been on the show, on the channel, all the ones that are commenting and talking, discussing this beautiful club. Anything you want to add to that from your side? Yeah,
well, as I've said before, congratulations for the success that you guys have had. To people sort of helping it grow. It's great for me as an English Ajax fan to see the community grow bigger and bigger. It allows me to talk about my club, our club. So it's a great privilege for me to be able to speak to you guys and see the comments and then speak to people on Twitter. So, for anyone watching, I have to say happy Christmas, happy New Year, and let's get the ball rolling for 2022.
Cheers.